Felix de Jesus, my partner, as we will be calling these prelims, leading you all the way up into our main card on our pay-per-view portion of the card. Felix, what a night we have coming your way with Keith Thurman, Mario Barrios. A lot on the line for both guys. Thurman has been out of the game for about 2.5 years, and he is looking to reclaim his welterweight gold that he lost to Manny Pacquiao 2.5 years ago. And if you're looking at Mario Barrios, coming off a loss against Tank Davis, but now he enters into more of his natural weight class at the welterweight division. What are you looking forward to tonight?
No, that's right, Miguel, and a pleasure to work with you here. I've always worked with your brother, but you're a better dresser than him, so it's better to have you around.
I try.
Yeah, it's a great night of boxing tonight. We're going to see what Thurman has left, or if he's just taking a nice little time off to come up and regained everything that he lost by being away so long from boxing. And Barrios, he lost the last fight against Tank, so this one he really needs to stay or be an important part of this boxing world. Of course, tonight's also Santa Cruz against Carvajal, so it's packed what we got for you guys today on pay-per-view plus on regular Fox, and then the prelims. It's just going to be an exciting night of boxing.
It certainly is. But first, we are now set for our main bout. Felix, take us through our first bout. Ramon Marquez taking on John Rincon.
That's right, Miguel. It's a welterweight, a 4-rounder. Rincon is 5-0, and Marquez is 4-0. The interesting part here is one is going to lose that 0. They're going to have one loss, so we'll see what happens tonight. Rincon, he's the southpaw, 23 years old, 5'11". Marquez is a little bigger than him. He's 6 feet. In regards to the age difference, well, they're both young. The Rincon is 23 years old. His hometown is in Corpus Christi, Texas. But he last fought almost 2 years ago. But let's get this fight underway, and we start with our announcer, Miguel Flores.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Michelob Ultra Arena here at Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada, as Premier Boxing Champions presents an exciting night of boxing action. Once again, it is all brought to you by TGB Promotions and Fox Sports, sponsored by DraftKings Sportsbook. Our first bout will be 4 rounds in the welterweight division. Introducing first in the red corner wearing the black trunks, he weighed in at 146.6 pounds. His record stands undefeated, 4 victories, all 4 coming via knockout. Fighting out of Agua Prieta, Mexico, presenting Ramón Marquez.
There's Ramon in the black trunks.
Into the blue corner wearing the blue with the white trim. He weighed in at 145.2 pounds. His record stands undefeated, 5 victories, including 2 by knockout. Fighting out of Corpus Christi, Texas, presenting John Rincon.
So John Rincon against Ramon Marquez, as we see here. The Marquez a little taller, about an inch. Interesting to see. Both of them, I think, will have ring rust. Almost 2 years since his last fight for Rincon. His last fight was March 7th. He won a unanimous decision against Orlando Collins. That was in Texas, so we'll see what Rincon has to offer tonight. And in regards to Marquez, well, his last fight was in Mexico, and he TKO'd Alejandro Aguilar in Mexico. He's 1-5 was Aguilar.
As we get started, this is a 4-round bout, Felix. So these guys, you know, in these type of fights, they got to work quick. There's no feeling out process. There's not a round that they can kind of take off to ease into the fight. They need to get going from the jump.
Yeah, and we showed, Rincon showed right there, a nice little left. It didn't connect, but I guess that's his game plan while he attacks here in the corner.
This is Marquez's first fight in the United States. All 4 of his victories have happened in Mexico. So he is getting a taste to the American audience now. Once again, we want to welcome all those watching live on our Premier Boxing Champions YouTube page. Once again, Thurman Barrios later tonight, Fox pay-per-view.
We haven't seen much from Rincon just yet. You said it's a 4-rounder, so they should start throwing right away as we see Rincon now throwing some lefts.
Yeah, Rincon's really trying to set up that overhand left.
Marquez being cautious. He hasn't had a fight in his career go past the second round in all 4 of his fights. So he has a full test ahead of him in Rincon as he goes to the body quickly.
They're both undefeated, so somebody's going to lose today. And I think you learn a lot from a boxer that's undefeated and wants to maintain that 0. That shows heart, that shows skill, so we'll see what happens tonight.
And credit to both guys, I mean, because they're still early on in their careers, and for both of them to be taking on a fight where both guys are undefeated, you got to give credit to them for accepting this type of a challenge.
Yeah, we have a few fights like that of undefeated fighters today, so great night of boxing. We're just getting started here at the Middleweight Arena.
Now you see Rincon trying to establish the jab. Beautiful uppercut as Rincon now was able to connect with the left cross, knocking Marquez back.
You heard him there. Rincon, a southpaw, looking to land with the left, of course.
There you see Rincon now. He really is trying to set up that left hand, trying to find an opening.
Shot with that right from Marquez. That's his knockout punch.
And now Rincon has Marquez pressed up against the corner. So far, Rincon's looked absolutely outstanding thus far, mixing up his shots, going to the body, and now he's trying once again that overhand left. Just missed though.
See, I mean, Marquez is waiting too long to land that right.
That is the end of round number 1. And what was a very entertaining round and a good round for Rincon.
Definitely, he won that round. Marquez still hasn't unloaded. 18 years old. It might take a little while to get started. But in regards to that record to Marquez, I mean, 4-0, 4 knockouts, so he has some power unless he's been fighting, guys that really can't take a punch.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, it's different levels of competition as we are both accustomed to, Felix. You want to, first off, when you're making your pro debut, you want to, all right, let's start to get some rounds underneath our belt. And that's one thing Marquez hasn't done because he has been knocking out his guys, which is good. He's getting those victories, but now he's starting to take a little bit of a higher step up in class against a guy like Rincon. Now he has to adjust.
There's a pedigree in his corner, Rincon's corner. Selena Barrios is the older sister of Mario Barrios, so she's also 6-1 with 3 knockouts in her career, so good corner for Rincon to have.
Now Rincon once again establishing the jab early. I'd like to see what adjustments Marquez is able to make after that first round, which in my opinion went to Rincon.
I mean, that last name Marquez in boxing circles is well known. So let's see if he can honor his last name here.
Now left hook from Marquez as he's now trying to put the pressure on Rincon, making him fight off his back foot.
So far, Marquez has not adapted. So Rincon is hitting him with that left at will.
What would you like to see him do, Felix? What would you like to see Marquez do to make that adjustment as Rincon once again lands a straight left?
Well, he's protecting against that left, but he's not hitting back. So, you're not going to win rounds that way. I don't think Rincon has hurt him just yet, but it could be coming if he just keeps this game plan. He has to throw that right, see what he has, see if he can tag him.
And that's one thing in these 4-round fights is even though you may not be hurting the guy, if you're the more aggressive guy, you're landing more shots, you're going to win the round.
Yeah. And, you win 3 rounds, you win the fight. So he needs to show something real quick, this kid Marquez. He's young, but still, he needs to do something, to get the respect from Rincon. You know what it is? He wants to land that right. He's just too slow for Rincon right now, so let's see.
And he's got to be careful trying to telegraph those shots because it makes it very easy for Rincon to counter. And he can fall right into that left hand.
He's not even moving to his right to try to take a little bit off the blows from Rincon, so Marquez a rude awakening so far.
Overhand left again, connected for Rincon. Marquez looking to counter, but again, just a step too slow.
Yeah. Although there he showed a little fire. He needs to do much more.
Like you said, he's got to bring up the activity level. Rincon has won in that department so far.
The corner's telling him, you know, throw 2 lefts and come, you know, 2 left hooks, but he's not doing that. So the corner wants Marquez to open up Rincon a little bit, but he's not doing it just yet. Ooh, nice left there by Rincon.
Overhand left just missed for Rincon as round 2 comes to a close. And once again, Rincon in full control thus far.
So great night of boxing. Miguel, of course. Barrios against Thurman. Then we have also Gogokia against Leo Santa Cruz. Great to see Santa Cruz back.
It is. I mean, he suffered that, you know, one of the biggest knockout losses
a vicious
of
uppercut,
2020. And that was one of the knockouts of the year in favor of Tank Davis. But a lot of people forget before that fight, Santa Cruz was giving Tank Davis all he could handle in that fight. He was coming forward. A lot of people felt he was winning the fight up until that 6th round. And
I think he was.
And he just got caught. And even Santa Cruz has talked about it leading up to this fight week. He was disappointed, but he got a little too over-aggressive. But now he's once again back in the mix against Keenan Carbajal later tonight.
I want to see what Santa Cruz has to offer. So there's so many names on this card that are going to give their all because they have a lot to prove. Thurman, Santa Cruz, Barrios. So here we go on, you know, 3rd round. So far, we're thinking Rincon is winning it easily.
Yeah, Rincon has been in full control. I haven't seen Marquez really do enough to push Rincon back. And there you saw Rincon once again getting the better of the exchanges.
He's trying to, you know, get him to the ropes and see what he can do there, but he's just, that right hand is not connecting it, you know.
And another just took a straight left flush. And I really like what Rincon's doing. He's mixing up his shots well. I mean, just when Marquez is starting to get into a rhythm a little bit and see the left hand coming, the overhand left coming, he goes right back down to the body, and it really confuses Marquez as to where these shots are going to be coming at.
And Rincon is so smart. He's not staying near the ropes, you know, staying in the center of the ring, just attacking. There we go. Finally, we get a little something from Marquez. Maybe not much, too late. We're already in the 3rd round here in the 4th round fight.
And this might be one of those types of fights where if you're Marquez, you may not be able to outbox a guy like Rincon. Rincon has so far been boxing circles around him. You may need to muck it up a little bit. You may need to use your weight, push him along the ropes, and try to trap him in a couple of corners and really just make it a rough, ugly type of a fight. And that might be his recipe to win. But again, we're halfway through the fight, and Rincon is stacked up 2 rounds.
Yeah, it's like you mentioned, the first fight for Marquez. He's still young. Can he learn from a loss like this? It's a 4th round fight, maybe, but he needs to definitely start throwing more. And we're not seeing it from him. And the corner's telling him, start working the body, stop working the body, the left hook. He's just not able to execute.
And sometimes these younger guys, they're looking for the headshots. They forget exactly like what his corner's telling them about the body. That's something that's never going to move if you're a fighter. And the fact that Marquez really hasn't targeted the body, that would have been one way to slow down a guy like Rincon.
Yeah, so that left is scoring at will, and he hasn't slowed him down because he hasn't worked the body. So there we go again. Now he's just hitting, you know, throwing at will.
Yeah, Rincon really is just picking his shots and able to land whatever he wants in this bout. There's another quick right hook to the body, again by Rincon.
There we go. He thought he had him in the ropes for a little while, but Rincon, nice and slick, got out and back to the center of the ring.
Beautiful uppercut from Rincon as round 3 comes to an end.
So we have a great pay-per-view. Getting ready there are Brian Kenny, Joe Goosen, Lennox Lewis will probably be in a little later on. And it's going to be great. There's a little appetizer, right?
Yeah, exactly. We'll be on Fox, PBC on Fox. We have a headline by Abel Ramos against Luke Santamaria. Abel Ramos obviously was supposed to be on the pay-per-view portion of the card against Josecito Lopez, which would have been an outstanding fight. You talk about an action fight. That was one of those fights that was going to be that, but Josecito Lopez suffered an injury late in training camp, so Luke Santamaria stepped in for a late replacement bout. And he's got a tremendous opportunity ahead of him to defeat a guy like Abel Ramos. And then we also got Ryan Cowboy Carl against Omar Juarez in the opening bout of the Fox portion of our PBC fight night.
The Ramos brothers, I mean, they've made so much stride the last 2 years, I think. They're different boxers, so let's see what he has to offer. Let's see what they offer Ramos against Santamaria. That's going to be a good fight, and that's on Fox. So it looks like Marquez is just holding on. It looks like...
yeah, if you're Rincon, I mean, this has been... You've had this fight on cruise control. You've outboxed Marquez. You've really been able to come in and control the entire pace of this fight and have had Marquez chasing you from the opening bell. And there's another big right hook, and...
Now he got him with the right hook. No, he said it was a slip?
He said it was a slip.
Oh.
Marquez did bounce up very quickly.
Yeah. Looked like that right hand connected. So. Veteran referee said it was a slip. So. Let's see. I don't think you know what the corner's telling him to start hitting the body is going to matter last round here. So it's just going to be an experience here for Marquez. Now he knows how the elite boxers that are great prospects.
Exactly.
Fight.
There are levels to this game, and Rincon is certainly showing Marquez that. And there's another body shot, and
one was a low blow.
It was a little low on the belt line, and there you see, getting enough time to recover. Marquez ready to resume action, and there's another hook to the body. And Marquez now seems to be very animated and letting Rincon know, continue, let's go, let's keep going. But again, I think it's a little too late for him.
Yes. And again, all the credit for Rincon. He hasn't fought in almost 2 years. He did beat Orlando Collins in Texas. That was March 7th of 2020. So great fight for Rincon here to get back started. He doesn't look like he has any ring rust.
No, he certainly doesn't. This has been a fight that he has been able to control from the get-go.
I mean, I think Marquez just wants this fight to finish here and regroup and see what he has. He's young, 18 years old. But again, the power he displayed in his 4 fights, not showing it here tonight against Rincon.
Now Rincon just dancing around the ring. He knows he's got this one in the bag. He is content. He certainly did try to get Marquez out of there, but Marquez certainly a tough opponent. And just sometimes it's not in the cards for a knockout. There's a beautiful straight left by Rincon again, as he just timed Marquez perfectly.
And he's 18 years old, Marquez, so he might get that manpower, you know, when he's 21, 22,
exactly.
He continues. Yeah, so, you know, that's not
another straight left right when the bell ends. And what a performance from John Rincon. He should stay undefeated. Once again, we still have to make it official with the judges, but a tremendous performance on his end, taking on a guy like Ramon Marquez, who was undefeated. All his victories were by knockout, and he really made easy work of him.
You know, the southpaw Rincon showed it tonight, that left. I mean, he was hitting at will. Rincon will probably go to 6-0. And Marquez's first defeat, his first fight in the USA. All the other fights were in Mexico. Let's see what happens to Marquez in his career to come.
And now we take a look at some highlights. Felix, what did you see here from the fight? I mean, Rincon was just kind of timing up that left hand all night.
Yeah, so when he got him in the ropes, he was just hitting him with that will with that left. You know, there was nothing more Marquez could do. He tried throwing, but it was just so slow for Rincon in this fight that there was no way he could adapt. And when he tried throwing that right, Rincon was seeing it, And there's a good win for Rincon, who now should step up to bigger things. Marquez now has to regroup. I mean, and he was born in Arizona, but all his fights were in Mexico. But here in the USA, fights could be a little more difficult for him. Now we're ready for the decision, and we go to Miguel Flores. So Rincon with the victory here. He dominated the 4 rounds. And we're just getting started here. A couple of more fights here in the prelims. Then we're going to have, or switch you over to Fox. And then, of course, the Fox pay-per-view. Thurman and Barrios, Santa Cruz and Carvajal. Ramos against Hernandez should be a good one also. And Neri, who took a beating from Brandon Figueroa, tries to bounce back against Carlos Castro.
Standing with some of the great cards that you'll ever see in Vegas, this one stands up to that scrutiny. You've got Keith Thurman, who's undoubtedly going to be in the Boxing Hall of Fame as one of the great welterweight champions of all time.
Hand by Thurman, one of his best in a while.
You've got Mario Barrios, who he's still got a lot of life in his career. He's a young guy still, and he's so exciting to watch. I'm going to be very curious to see if Thurman has maintained that athleticism that I've talked about, because you never know until you get in the ring. And Barrios, how he's recouped from his great performance against Tank Davis. There's a lot of question marks about this fight, and that's what makes it intriguing for me.
This fight between Mario Barrios and Keith Thurman is going to be exciting. You really don't know what you're gonna get on fight night, and those are the best fights. When you know they're gonna be competitive, you know that both guys got power, speed, everything that you want out of a fighter, both these guys got it. But the best part about it is we don't know what's gonna happen, and so you gotta tune in.
Both guys say, yeah, you wanna go? You wanna go? Let's go.
You got Keith Thurman, great mover, box counter puncher, and he's always exciting. You got Mario Barrios. He's, coming to fight, and he's coming out on his shield. If he gets knocked down, he's getting up. If he gets knocked out, he's waking back up. I think both styles complement each other. Keith Thurman obviously moves around the ring quite well. And Barrios, he's aggressive, he's coming at you, and he's applying pressure at all times.
Oh, great right hand by Thurman.
I would say Thurman has the edge because he counter punches well. That means if you try and punch him and knock him out, make sure that you're not out of place because he'll take advantage of that.
I think anytime Keith is in the ring and gets a win and looks like Keith Thurman, there's a lot to gain. And I think immediately, if he's able to win this fight, perhaps do it in resounding fashion, I think that sets the mandate, again, for the winner's bracket in the welterweight division and to get into the championship class. He's entering his mid-30s. You don't want to be aging while these young guys are getting into their prime. The time is now for Thurman to capitalize, get back and stay busy, stay active, and see if he can be the welterweight champion of the world again.
My coach just said, box, 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 you're giving him a hard time, and I felt like that. I felt like we were controlling the 3-minute intervals in each and every single round.
Fighting under the bright lights in Las Vegas. It's exciting. You see your name and your picture on every billboard and casino. And, you know, on fight night, if people are in Las Vegas, they're there for a fight. Well, I think that Mario Barrios is ready for this stage, Las Vegas pay-per-view against Keith Thurman. You got, again, a younger fighter, and Mario Barrios who wants it all. I think that he's the kind of guy, Mario, that can combine that energy and make it what he needs it to be to live in a special night.
I want all the smoke. I'm ready. I hope I put on a great show in front of y'all.
Fight fans are gonna get what they want. It's gonna be a fight. I expect Keith to be very defensive and that counter-punching ability that Keith has, and you cannot forget about the power. It's gonna go back and forth, and I think that this fight's gonna be quite exciting.
Keith, his defense is sharp and on point, but he's been hit, he's been hurt a few times. I think he's shown, you know, a lot of guts in a lot of different fights. So he's going to have to fight. He's going to have to come forward. He's going to have to be in a firefight.
February 5th on pay-per-view, Las Vegas. Keith Thurman has the edge against Mario Barrios because of his experience, because he's been there before and he wants to get back there. I am going to bet on all of the intangibles that Keith Thurman has to overcome anything that Mario Barrios is going to bring to the ring. It's
going to be a fantastic night of boxing. You've got Keith Thurman and Mario Barrios headlining an incredibly deep card. It is February 5th, Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas, so iconic location for boxing being in Vegas, and you've got just a really stacked card in terms of the other talent that you're going to see there. Not only is it Keith Thurman trying to prove what he can still do in the division, and Mario Barrios trying to prove that he belongs in the division at 147, but you've also got Leo Santa Cruz coming back. It's going to be fascinating to see how he bounces back. You've got Abel Ramos against Josecito Lopez. That one's going to be an all-out war. There is just a huge depth of incredible action on this card.
I'm a boxing fan more than anything else. That's why I even got into this game in the first place. I love boxing. I love fighters, and I love fighters who leave it all in the ring. And every single guy on this card will leave it in the ring. Everything. And I couldn't recommend it more. You'll love it. Order the fight. You won't regret it. It's going to be a great night of boxing.
Well, there you have it. That's our card later tonight. Fox on pay-per-view. Be sure to order it if you haven't already done so. It is a deep card. As Felix, you and I, we've been talking about it. It's a lot of highlights. Leo Santa Cruz coming back. You have Keith Thurman, obviously, coming back from the hiatus. Jesús Ramos, one of the rising super welterweights. And it's a great card coming your way. But now we go to our next fight. Felix, we have Fernando Vargas Jr., Kody Koboski.
That's right, name recognition here with Fernando Vargas Jr. Of course, his dad, you might recognize the name, Senior. He's fought a lot here in Vegas, especially in the Mandalay Bay. Vargas was 26-5. We're going to go a little more into detail. The former world champion at the 154-pound weight. He fought some of the big names in boxing, De La Hoya, Trinidad, Felix Trinidad. So Vargas Jr. trying to do what his father did in his career. He's a southpaw, 25 years old. Impressive win he had in Puerto Rico. That was his last fight. And against Koboski. So undefeated fighters. We have our ring announcer, Miguel Flores. Well, you can tell who the favorite is here by the crowd. The crowd supporting Fernando Vargas Jr. Looks a lot like his dad. Of course, not his dad, well, a little older, gaining a lot of weight, but very similar. And Koboski, this guy looks like he can punch. 2 wins, 2 knockouts. We'll see what he has to offer against Fernando Vargas. So another fight with 2 undefeated fighters. Somebody's going to lose today. 4-0 for Vargas, 4 KOs, and Koboski is 2-0 with 2 KOs. So we'll see if there's some heavy hitting going on in this fight.
As you saw, Felix, I mean, the crowd is amped. I mean, it's probably the most amped I've seen for a prelim fight in a long time. I mean, yes. You got the hype, obviously, the son of former world champion Fernando Vargas. You see him in his corner of his son, and he is excited to help him along in his career. He's done a fine job so far, undefeated. As both of these men are familiar with each other. As you mentioned, childhood friends. But now, as you know, when that bell rings, there's no friendship anymore.
Yeah, they went to elementary school together, and they're both from Oxnard, California. So let's see here. Those years have passed. Now they're looking for a victory.
Oh, huge left hand knocks Koboski down. Straight left, landed pinpoint on the chin.
Oh, wow, what a combination. This kid has power.
I will say Koboski did get up very quickly. Now take a look at his legs. Are his legs shaky? That's one of the first things you want to take a look at. And there you see Vargas immediately pouncing on Koboski.
I was going to compliment Koboski on that jab. The left jab was scoring, but once he felt that power, he went down. I mean, he has the pedigree with his dad in the corner. Look at that combination. I mean, this kid's definitely a step up for Koboski.
He certainly is, and I'm sure growing up watching his dad in all of those world title fights has inspired him as a young kid. And now he knows what it takes to climb that ladder and become a world champion. And now he's looking to do that. And there's another straight left that knocked Koboski back. He's stunned.
Yeah, this is not going to go long, Miguel. No, he's just scoring now at will.
And there's a big right hook that connected again as Vargas once again just picking his shots.
He's just timing it. This is a matter of seconds. Watch.
Koboski is under siege right now.
He's not steady.
And you can see his legs are gone. He is still just trying to make it out of this round. Another good body shot from Vargas. Vargas, I will give him credit. He's being patient. He hasn't been throwing wildly. He is trying to be accurate and time his shots up.
Now he simmered down a little bit there, Vargas. But he's just waiting to time him with that left. You can see it now. I mean, if Koboski gets out of this round, it's a miracle.
There's another body shot from Vargas. There's a beautiful body shot back up with the jab. All in one motion. Very slick from El Feroz. Now a straight left again, just landed flush. And a big left knocks Koboski back. A huge left again. And Koboski is eating some shots as round one comes to a close.
He can get hurt. I mean, the way this kid has displayed the power. I mean, this kid's definitely for Rio, Vargas Jr. And we see his father in the corner. He's about 200 pounds now, his father. Gained a little weight.
Yeah, just a bit, just a tad.
Okay, but he's definitely showing his son how to fight.
And there you see, Felix, just the big lefts as he was able to set it up, and Koboski had no answer.
Yeah, this is like we saw in the first fight, Rincon, but with much more skilled level in Vargas Jr. He's just hitting at will. His father's telling him to keep with that jab and then try to connect with the left. It's intense, you know, so.
Just like his father.
Yeah,
you know, that's one of the attributes that Fernando Vargas was never afraid to face an opponent as we begin at round number 2.
Well, I think this round might be over. I think Vargas Jr. just has too much skills for Koboski. He's giving it a good try, staying alive in that first round, but watch what we're going to see here with these combinations. They're just hitting him flush. There's nothing Koboski could do.
Yeah, you could just see the reflexes, the hand speed is just so much more in the favor of Vargas.
Boxing, you never know. You know, a shot could come not expected, but we don't see it here.
And there's another big left that Koboski ate.
Look at the defense. He's not going to let anything wild by Koboski hit him.
Another straight left, and Koboski is, again, just on skates right now.
You can see it in his face. Wobbly. You know, trying to give it that good effort, but
just
Vargas.
A different class.
Yep.
Different class with Vargas. He is showing that right now. And Koboski, like you say, he's doing his best to stay on his feet, trying to give it a fight, but Vargas is really just...
But it's a treat, Miguel, when you have somebody that has skill. He's up there who's taking boxing, you know, for real. His father took it for real, but I know, seeing his career, he's always had to lose a lot of weight before getting into a major fight. He lost against the big guys, Trinidad and De La Hoya.
There's another straight left that knocks Koboski back again. And that was just after a right hook that landed. And Koboski, again, eating a lot of shots. I'm curious if the corner of Koboski is thinking about stopping this fight. This is a lot of punishment he is suffering right now. And it started from the opening bell. I mean, it was immediately as this fight started.
And I mean, he started with some good left jabs, Koboski did, but he's not even doing that. He's just slowed down so much. And this is where it can get dangerous for him. Because, you know, I mean, Vargas Jr. is just in a different class.
Koboski, I see a little blood coming from the lip of Koboski. You see, Koboski's very, you know, his movement isn't as fluid as Vargas. And Vargas, again, just eats a straight jab and followed it up with the left hook.
Koboski is, but I don't think so.
Another shot at Vargas is just picking him apart.
He has to avoid the showboating. A little showboating I'm seeing from Vargas Jr. That's not necessary. You know, if you're a skilled fighter, you just take care of business.
There now the blood coming from the nose of Koboski.
I mean, we got to look at the corner. You know, this is not necessary.
Yeah,
He's been hit with a lot of shots.
This is one to watch for. Once again, tune in. PBC on Fox. It's going to be live and free on Fox. Omar Juarez taking on Ryan Cowboy Carl. And then we have Abel Ramos, Luke Santamaria coming up on Fox, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. There you see some of the highlights of that second round. It was all Vargas, that big left hand. And you saw just the blood spit out as soon as Koboski was hit. It has just been demolition from the jump in favor of Vargas.
That pay-per-view fight, that first one, Miguel Neri, he made weight, so that means he's serious, and he's an excellent boxer. So
former world champion.
Yeah, so Neri against Carlos Castro. Castro's undefeated. Let's see if what Neri could do in that fight. That third round here, ready to start. And Vargas just looking very good, Vargas Jr.
He has looked tremendous. Koboski out here for another round. Let's see if he can give Vargas anything to think about. But again, Vargas just knocks Koboski back with another straight left as he was hit flush.
And he's doing this to a friend. So imagine if he doesn't like it. I mean, there's a big potential here for Vargas
true.
Jr.
Koboski lets.
This is where Bush's knockout could come.
He is
not steady.
Ready. And there you see he's just fighting on pure guts and will and heart.
By Koboski, but you don't want this kid to get hurt.
Yeah, I mean, this is only his third pro fight. You don't want him to suffer any long-term damage, and I think we're getting into that point now where Vargas is just getting anything he wants. Another jab that just knocked Koboski back again.
And in words of Vargas Jr., 4-0, 4 knockouts. I'm sure he wants to get that 5th knockout. That was working the body.
Great body shots from Vargas. I mean, he can really have anything he wants in this fight. Another stiff jab. A straight left again, and Vargas now, I think he's really starting to put his pedal to the metal and finish this off. Koboski is literally just fighting off of the heart right now.
I mean, the corner really has to look at this fight and see what's going on here. He's picking them apart, you know, and there's just no need for that. So
another lap, and that is all she wrote.
Great call. It wasn't necessary. Great victory here for Vargas Jr. He goes to 5-0 with 5 knockouts. And this gets for real, Miguel.
He certainly is. I love what I saw from him. He is one to watch for, still early in his career, but I expect Fernando Vargas Jr. to have a big 2022 and have a lot of fights this year as he looks to climb the prospecting ranks. But so far, early on, I love what I see from El Feroz.
Exactly. So, you know, when he starts moving up in his career, we're going to see if he has enough stamina to go 8 rounds, 10 rounds. That'll be nice to see. And if he still has the punching power in later rounds. But, I mean, he just took care of Koboski with no problem. Since the first round, that left was setting it up, and the referee had seen enough. It was a great victory here for Vargas Jr. The crowd, although limited crowd, it's of course the prelims, so we're just getting started here, but they were all in favor of Vargas Jr., Fernando Vargas Jr. A lot, of course, has to do with his father. We see that with the likes of like Julio Cesar Chavez, but now he's building his own name, and he started it here today against Koboski. But we're getting ready for the decision and the stoppage here. We have Miguel Flores. So the victory for Fernando Vargas Jr. We have more here on the prelims.
Thurman, being a power puncher, he says, is a double-edged sword. I can hurt you, but I can also hurt myself.
Thurman's a realist. You know, he knows this could be a little tenuous.
I think in the fight against Josecito Lopez, what you saw was a Keith Thurman who was feeling his way back into the sport. He had told us that that was going to be his get-back year and that he needed that time to come back from injury and kind of feel his way back to being his best in the sport. He'd been out of the ring, almost 2 years, so 22 months. And I think that was visible. I think you could see it wasn't the prime version of Keith Thurman, but you also saw a lot of what he possesses.
There was a lot of ring rust there. And it took him a few rounds to really warm up and get into the fight.
Early on in that fight, it looked like Keith was going to make easy work of Lopez. He scored a knockdown in round 2, and Thurman just looked to kind of be levels above what was, we knew, a very gutsy Josecito Lopez. But the fight turned in the 7th round when Thurman was then put in bad trouble.
Oh, he's got him off balance, and Lopez hammering away. He hurt Thurman with a left hook and a right hand. The head knocked backwards. Lopez.
Thurman's hurt.
Powerfully charging, forcing him back in the ropes. Lopez trying to finish it.
And if Lopez lands another couple good combinations like that, he can stop him.
Thurman needs to hang on. I thought that those were wake-up shots. I'm thinking, hey, you can't let this fight get away from you right now. You got to stay focused. And he did. He came back with some great shots of his own.
Our expectation of Keith Thurman is so high that when the fight completely starts to go in reverse for Keith Thurman, it's just not what we expected. And, you know, when you're out of the picture for so long and you come back into the ring, the anticipation, the excitement, everything, and it was like our bubble was being popped right there in front of our eyes, and it was like Keith was no longer Keith Thurman. But, you know, he got it together and pulled it out and, you know, showed that he is Keith Thurman.
Oh, great right hand by Thurman. When he had to bounce back after almost getting knocked out, Keith Thurman took control back.
And still the undefeated WBA welterweight champion of the world, Keith one-time Thurman.
It was in those moments that we got to see what Keith was really made of as he bit down on the mouthpiece and kept fighting and came away with a well-deserved win in that fight. It wasn't the best performance of Keith Thurman's career. I think he would say that willingly as well, but it showed that he was ready to kind of start working his way back, and he was still willing to call out Manny Pacquiao at the end of that fight and look for those big fights and big opportunities.
All right, here we go from MGM Grand Garden Arena. Manny Pacquiao in his 71st professional bout. Keith, one-time Thurman, unbeaten.
Keith was the latest in a long line of fighters who've been promising to retire the generational star that was Manny Pacquiao. And in the summer of 2019, he got that chance finally on the biggest stage of his career. Now this was a fight. One legend with another undefeated fighter promising to be the one to end that icon's career. And I think nobody really had a clue how this one was going to play out, and you could kind of feel the building rumble. There was a huge sense of tension and anticipation from where we were sitting to host the show at the MGM Grand just moments before that opening bell.
Well, that fight completely stunned me. I thought that fight had all the makings of, you know, an older fighter who hung on for one fight too many and was fighting a guy who is big and strong within that weight class, who would be all wrong for him.
Many people have fallen to Manny Pacquiao, one of the greatest that ever laced him up.
Oh, down goes Thurman!
And still, it was a split decision. It was a very close fight.
I wasn't surprised that Keith Thurman got knocked down in the very first round of his fight with Manny Pacquiao. It took a number of rounds for Keith Thurman to make the adjustments that we've seen him make time and time again.
Manny Pacquiao did well early on, had Thurman down in the first round, and then hurt him in the 10th round with a body shot.
Oh, Pacquiao stung Thurman.
I've never seen a sequence like this from Keith Thurman getting hit with a body shot and taking his mouthpiece out. But, you know, the craziest things have happened in the boxing ring. Usually the mouthpiece gets spit out. Keith's consciousness to get hit to the body the way that he did and pull his mouthpiece out to breathe. It's very, very interesting. He's known for being susceptible to body shots. And then classic Keith, he thinks outside of the box and he does the unthinkable. I probably would go down before I pull my mouthpiece out. And so, number one, I don't know how he got his mouthpiece out. And number two, I don't know what made him think to do that, to get air. He's still very strong-minded and strong-willed, and I think that, you know, those factors are very central for him in his career. Those are the components that got him where he is and, you know, continues to push him through this sport.
After 12 rounds of action, we have a split decision in favor of the winner, Manny Pacquiao.
Pacquiao's win was a revelation. You know, just another great fight in a Hall of Fame career. Shows why Pacquiao is such an icon, that he can fight a big, strong, young guy in Keith Thurman, younger than Pacquiao, and still win that fight. So I thought that, you know, that was a big setback for Thurman, because I think most people favored Keith Thurman, thinking he's younger, he's bigger, he'll put this guy out for good.
It was never lost on Keith Thurman that this was a privileged position to be in. He was the first young guy of that kind of the next generation that really got the opportunity to go up against Manny Pacquiao and be the one that would dethrone Manny Pacquiao and kind of stake the claim to be the next generational great. He always just relished that moment and knew that this was the opportunity that every other single welterweight in the division wanted, and that he was privileged enough to get. And it's also just an honor, right, to be alongside a Manny Pacquiao. That's something that you will tell your grandchildren about.
I always think we overemphasize the power of a loss. Fighters lose. Everybody, you know, takes a loss. You know, most everybody through the history of the sport. But I think it's good to get back in the ring, get your timing back.
And there we go. Thurman Barrios later on tonight on Fox pay-per-view. Thurman is back after a 30-month layoff, and he is looking to reclaim the gold in the welterweight division. Miguel Flores, Felix de Jesus here, as we are joined for our Fox prelims here, and we are set for our next bout, Felix, as we look at our next bout, as we look at Gogokia taking on Kent Cruz.
Well, two in the books, Miguel. Again, a pleasure working with you here. Welterweight, John Rincon beat Ramon Marquez, and we just finished seeing Fernando Vargas Jr. with an impressive win over Kody Koboski. Elementary friends, but when you get in that ring, enemies until one gets knocked out, and that's what Fernando Vargas Jr. did in that fight. We're getting set for this fight. Enrico Gogokia against Kent Cruz, another undefeated fighter in Gogokia. He's 13-0 with 8 knockouts. Kent Cruz hasn't lost. He does have 1 tie, and he's 16-0 in regards to power. 10 KOs for Cruz, 8 for Gogokia. So let's see what happens here in this fight. Ronnie Shields in the corner of Cruz, trainer who has some big names under his belt. We'll see what happens in this 3rd fight of the prelims. And we're all getting ready for what's going to be a real good night in boxing in regards to the pay-per-view. We have a little appetizer for you guys in Fox, and of course these last 2 fights in the prelims. We're getting set for the our announcer Miguel Flores for this 3rd fight of the night between Gogokia and Kent Cruz. Okay, so we're getting ready for this 3rd fight of the prelims. Cruz with the pink trunks, very colorful, against Enrico Gogokia, about the same height. Cruz maybe a little bigger, 5'10", 5'9" for Gogokia. And his last fight was TKO, Enrico. Gogokia with a TKO against Argentina journeyman Gustavo David Vittori, who's 24-7-1. That was last year in May. So these boxers, most of them, getting back into the ring. Of course, we've been affected by COVID. Now we have the play-by-play by Miguel Flores.
Thank you, Felix, as we are now set to resume action. Once again, 8 rounds here. Super lightweight division. Both of these guys were getting in each other's faces at the weigh-ins yesterday, so maybe not bad blood, but certainly intense, ready to go, and both looking to prove a point tonight against one another. Again, both undefeated. Cruz's only blemish was the draw.
It's never a good mix when you haven't eaten for a couple of days or just eaten chicken breast. So
yeah, you know, people wonder, you know, why are guys so cranky at the weigh-in? Well, you know, when you, like you said, when you haven't eaten for maybe a day or 2 and are a little dehydrated, it can bring out the worst in a fighter. But nonetheless, they're ready to go in round 1 of 8. Thurman Barrios later tonight. If you have not done so already, be sure to order the pay-per-view.
And you can do it on your tablet or your iPhone.
Yeah, now with QR codes, everyone's doing QR codes. You can even order it through, like you said, through your phone. Just scan your camera on the QR code and it'll take you right there to order the pay-per-view.
Technology, things just getting easier and easier.
I tell you, man, sometimes they're not even gonna need us anymore. They're gonna have robots.
Have robots and stuff. Well, the fighters are still gonna be real, right?
That will probably be the only thing that is real. But as we go, Cruz from Missouri, trained by the great Ronnie Shields. Ronnie Shields, if you don't already know, trains Jermall Charlo, the WBC middleweight champion.
Combination there by Enrico.
Another body shot. He also trains David Morrell Jr., super middleweight WBA regular champion.
Yeah, so he must have seen something here in Ken Cruz, because he doesn't, you know, take on anybody new. That,
exactly, when it's someone that he doesn't see potential in and willing to put in the work. Because as we know, Ronnie Shields very strict, super disciplined, and he doesn't take any mess. And Ken Cruz obviously has something that Ronnie Shields likes. You see both of these guys filling each other out. Cruz trying to step forward a little bit.
I mean, he had, Shields had FF for a while, heavyweight. Must have seen something he didn't like, or something went wrong, and he's no longer there. But his stable, like you said, just premier fighters.
There's Gogokia now, who looks to be aggressive. Kia from his native country of Georgia. Last fought in Russia back in May. This won 5 straight by TKO. So he's got power. That is the end of round number 1.
The difference here, Miguel, is 8 rounds, like you said. You can take 1 round to study. First round, which both of the boxers did. Now you have time, but for 4 rounds, you got to start hitting right away. That's what Vargas Jr. did in our second fight. Rincon did it in the first fight. Impressive Vargas Jr. You're here enjoying our prelims. Then we go to Fox, and then of course the Fox pay-per-view. Take a little time here to thank everybody that has worked so hard in this prelims. Start with our executive producer, Matt Hoover, Michael Jankolovitz, also Gene Richards. Sam Bard is also with us. Our A2 is Fred Lichter. Of course, from Fox B. Stanford, Zach Kidman, and our researcher, Mark Ortega. Thanks, everybody, for just putting all the work to get this done.
Exactly. It takes an entire team, and we have the best here. Round 2. Both guys, as you said, Felix, I mean, they used the first round as a feeling out round, and now adjustments may be made. They're trying to get some timing down. Expect both guys to be more aggressive, as already we saw Cruz look to engage.
Both older boxers, 30 years of age is Enrico Gogokia, 29 for Ken Cruz. So, you know, this is the time when you start stepping it up. See if you have what it takes to be a world champion.
Cruz reaching a little bit, and now he got countered. That's one thing you don't want to do. If you're Cruz, I'm sure his trainer Ronnie Shields will tell him you don't want to reach as a fighter. That leaves you susceptible to be countered. But he's able to connect on his right hand there.
Yeah, one thing is to take advantage of the reach advantage. Whoa. That exchange there was pretty interesting.
Gogokia was very aggressive, trying to look for a knockout shot.
Yeah, so one thing is to use the reach advantage, and the other thing is to lunge. Two different things. You don't want to lunge.
There's a big right hook from Gogokia. Cruz took it in stride.
We're seeing early on here being more aggressive Gogokia.
There's Gogokia connected on the right hook, and there's another right hook connected for Gogokia again. And Cruz still staying in the pocket.
It's been a southpaw night so far. And up to now, Gogokia getting the best results. First 2 fights were won by southpaws.
You can tell Gogokia, every time he throws, he's throwing violently. And there's a big right hook that knocked Cruz off balance. Cruz has got to be careful. He can't take too many of those shots just directly on the chin. He's taking several of those here in round 2. Even though visibly it may not seem like he's hurt, you never want to take a flush shot like that.
Cruz is looking for an opening, but in the meantime, he's getting tagged by that left from Gogokia. So it's like you said, he has to watch out because he can get hurt.
Both fighters get tangled up there.
Oh.
Now they separate.
Gogokia not taking any chances. He just threw right away with that right, connected.
There's another right hook again, landing on the chin. Right hook again. That's 2 in a row for Gogokia. And Cruz really, he needs to figure out a way to keep that left hand up. to deflect that right hook, that which has been landing a lot for Gogokia in round 2.
He's a little more careful here.
And that is the end of the round. Good looking round for Gogokia.
Nickname Gouda.
want to get too aggressive. He saw Gogokia was able to get the better of him with the right hook, and ever since that point, he is boxed superb.
Shields getting more animated there, so he's seeing his boxer coming back in this fight. Kind of give the early rounds to Gogokia, and now Cruz coming back. That's a different fight, you see? Gogokia trying to, ooh, nice right. So Gogokia also changing his game plan a little bit here.
There's a straight left from Gogokia now, as Cruz once again ties him up. Now Gogokia going to the body, but Cruz blocked it. As long as Cruz keeps it within this type of a range, I think it's hard for Gogokia to get on that inside. He's going to have to, there's a nice little jump punch from Cruz. He almost kind of plunged forward and connected on that right hand.
I like that he's keeping his guards up. Cruz is. There at the end, he said it was something. So you mentioned then that it's not only that fight in the pay-per-view that people are going to enjoy tonight. You got Santa Cruz against Carvajal.
I think Carlos Castro, Luis Neri, that's the fight I think that has the potential to steal
fireworks. Yep.
Steal the night as we take a look at some of the replays from that
that body shot. I don't know if it's too late for Cruz to start working the body, what's left in this fight, but that definitely slowed down Gogokia a little bit. And he looks like a much better fighter. More involved is Cruz. Gogokia is not letting up after the third round where you kind of saw him back a little bit. Yeah.
You look at both guys, neither have been really hurt badly yet.
I agree. So it's a matter of, for Cruz, he has to keep that defense up. And Gogokia trying to see if he's going to be left wide open for that right by Cruz. That's where we're at right now in the 5th round. This is an 8-rounder. I expect both fighters to pick it up in this round. 5th round. Jab, he's saying that jab. I haven't seen a lot of jabs from Cruz.
No, you haven't, but he has controlled the pace of this fight so far. I think Gogokia is going to have to really step out of his comfort zone and take some gambles against Cruz. Because I think when Gogokia was explosive and engaging with Cruz, Cruz was having a hard time dealing with that.
So this fight has turned. The first couple of rounds for Gogokia, and now Cruz taking control. It's like we said, Shields sees something in this boxer, and now we're seeing it ourselves, where it took him a while to figure out Gogokia.
And there's that right hook that puts Cruz down, and that's the right hook that we have been waiting for since the 2nd round.
Yes. So Cruz there, didn't see that one coming. Now let's see Gogokia, what he can do now.
Now Gogokia is starting to put it on Cruz, and he's got Cruz cornered. Cruz has got to be careful. Another right hook landed for Gogokia. A wild right hook, and that puts Cruz down again.
Well, this fight turned. Cruz was having the better of it. Then all of a sudden, that punch came from Gogokia, and it's turned this fight around. That's what can happen in boxing.
And what we said right before this round, that neither fighter has really landed anything that has a big punch. And here we are now, Gogokia with 2 big punches that put Cruz down.
Again, he takes the rope, trying to take advantage of Gogokia.
Gogokia going to the body beautifully, trying to open up upstairs, and there's a wild right hook again as Gogokia.
He doesn't like those punches.
And Cruz thought that was low. The referee lets him know.
Low to me, but
keep him up. This is a massive round for Gogokia, scoring 2 knockdowns. He was looking for a 3rd. There's that right hook again, but Cruz has to be careful. Final 10 seconds, and now Gogokia back into the body.
So, Cruz.
Yeah, Cruz seems to be moving well, though, I will say. I'm sure he's hurt from those right hooks, but at least his feet look under him.
Great round then by Gogokia. Turned this fight around so far. 2 knockdowns and taking control again of the fight. He was leaving himself wide open. As we see here, the replay where that right hand just connected flush.
And that was the shot that Ronnie Shields was letting Cruz know. You got to keep your left hand up for the right hook. And that was 2 right hooks that put Cruz down.
Yeah, that right hurt him, and then he missed, and then the other right connected and landed Cruz on the floor. So let's see if Gogokia could keep this up. Shields really animated there, telling Cruz what he needs to do. Now it's crunch time. 6th round. Cruz has to show something here against Gogokia.
Round 6. Cruz now has got to battle back. That was 2 knockdowns, so therefore that's going to be a 10-7 round in favor of Gogokia.
Either he has to do the same thing here to Gogokia, or Gogokia go on cruise control and win the fight.
Yeah, Cruz was having, since the first 2 rounds, he was looking pretty well. He was boxing, outboxing Gogokia and staying out of danger. But Gogokia was able to explode. Back to the body is Gogokia, looking for a that right hook again.
He wants to level him with that left jab, does Cruz, but he's leaving himself wide open. There we go again. Gogokia connecting with that right. Seasoned boxer here, and Gogokia looking for openings.
Back into the body, and Gogokia is looking at the ref. He thought that was low. It appeared to be low, but again, unless the ref stops it, you got to continue fighting.
Now a good couple of minutes for Cruz in this 6th round. He needs this 6th, 7th, and 8th round probably.
Yeah, it's been a seesaw back and forth battle.
There we go. His left is nice and up protecting.
Cruz with the right that knocked Gogokia back a bit. Cruz being very careful. Sometimes Cruz leaves his head too high. That leaves him open for that right hook. You gotta tuck your chin underneath and really protect yourself when you're engaging. But again, Cruz is now starting to turn it up. He has bounced back from that last round where he had 2 knockdowns, and there's that right hook again.
Yeah, that's what he was doing in the 4th round until he got, the surprise came from Gogokia. So he's being a little more tentative there, but he knows he has to step it up in regards to Cruz.
Cruz tries to leap forward, but just missed Gogokia. Final 10 seconds of round 6.
Gogokia looking to counter punch.
There's a straight left by Gogokia as the round comes to a close. So Cruz bounced back, and he appears to be back in this one as we go to the final 2 rounds, which very well could determine who comes out victorious.
That's right, and we're all expecting a great pay-per-view tonight. That's 9 p.m. Eastern. At 7, a little appetizer, good fights on Fox. So you can tune into that and then tune into the pay-per-view. I know in the Northeast has been really cold weather. So what are you going to do?
Stay in and watch some boxing tonight. It's no better place to do it than on PBC on Fox.
Go to your nearest bar, and it's not too cold.
Hey,
nice
however you want to watch it.
Exactly. You just getting started here. A nice view of the arena there. Middleweight Ultra Arena, where a great fight will take place. Will Thurman continue? Will Barrios look good? Gotta see tonight. So Cruz stepped it up a little bit in those final minutes of that round, but he needs to step it up even a little more against Gogokia.
Yeah, Cruz really needs these final 2 rounds because now you don't really know what are going to be on the judges' scorecards after. Anytime you get 1 knockdown in a round and you suffer that, it's hard to climb back on the judges' scorecards, let alone 2 knockdowns in the same round. So Cruz really has to step it up. I thought he bounced back well in the 6th round, and he's got to continue that here in round 7.
So, I mean, it just looks on Gogokia's face as he's trying to time him when he throws that right and then counter with that left.
Yeah, you know he is, like you said, he's looking for that right hook again. That's been his best punch of the night so far. The times that it's landed, it's been explosive. They're just missed Cruz.
And I mean, he's noticing that that left is getting lower and lower. So Gogokia is just looking for that punch.
Now Cruz with a nice uppercut. Was able to get on the inside of Gogokia.
It's turned into an interesting fight.
Both guys have had their moments.
I think Cruz has to take a little more chance and try to win something solid. I'm going to change a little bit this fight, turn it around.
This fight is still very much up in the air. Neither guy has dominated this fight. Gogokia has had the highlight so far.
It's a 5-fight KO streak, does Gogokia, for 6.
Good streak right that pushed Cruz, excuse me, pushed Gogokia back.
Looks like Cruz got a second win there. Let's see if he can take advantage of it.
Cruz really picking his spots nicely. Not overextending himself, which has gotten him into trouble.
Time might not be on his side, Abel. Gogokia has fought a smart fight there in the 3rd, 4th round. He looked a little bit fast, but he's picked it up so far.
That's the thing we don't know, though. We don't know what the judges were looking for. We don't know how they were seeing this fight play out. What we do know is there is a 10-7 round on the card.
That hurts. That hurts.
Exactly, and that's what sets him back. And I think Cruz so far has bounced back and has given himself a legitimate shot to win on the scorecards. But again, it hasn't been overwhelming one way or the other as round 7 ends.
Okay, so you told me Santa Cruz is your favorite for that 2nd fight, or am I just putting you out there?
I love how you like making these predictions, Felix.
And you told me Hernandez over Ramos? Or the fans really have to see it for themselves?
We're going to have to wait and see. I mean, the fans are going to have to look. The fans can make their predictions. I have some thoughts. I think both, in our main event, Thurman and Barrios have a good shot to come out victorious. I think Carvajal is a live dog. I think Castro as well is another live dog. 2 guys from Phoenix representing the Phoenix, Arizona area. 4 guys coming out of Arizona on this card tonight. Jesús, Abel, Ramos, the other 2. So we know Arizona will be watching.
Interesting, in the fighter meetings, Hernandez said he took boxing because he was bullied in school. So it's always good for somebody to turn it around. And Vladimir Hernandez, and he's beaten some big names lately, so that's going to be a good fight against Ramos.
It certainly is. So action-packed fight card from top to bottom. PBC has put together an excellent night of fights. We're just beginning here on our prelims. Miguel Flores, Felix de Jesus, Mandalay Bay, Middleweight Ultra Arena, final round. Kent Cruz and Enrico Gogokia. It has been a back and forth battle. Gogokia scored 2 knockdowns in this fight. Back in the 5th round, I believe. Now Cruz looks to come forward again. You gotta believe it's in the back of Cruz's head that he has got to win all these rounds. He's gonna win on the scorecards.
Excellent fight coming up also here in the prelims. We'll tell you a little bit about that in a few. What we see here this last round. Gogokia looking good so far.
Right hand delivered by Cruz.
I think Cruz needs to know that he needs to attack in this last round, show something to the judges. Cruz body shot moved him back.
Gogokia now starting to step on it. He realizes that he can't take for granted. Even though he scored the 2 knockdowns, that he's a runaway favorite in this one. He is trying to cement the victory by winning this final round, but Cruz with good double jab.
Great showing by Gogokia so far.
Yeah, Gogokia, you can see the power. Cruz, I think, was surprised by it. There's that right hook again as he was backing away.
It's a sneaky right hook. And boom.
It does come out of nowhere. I think Cruz, that's what surprises Cruz every time he gets caught by it. Because it is, he doesn't really telegraph it that well. And Cruz is trying to look out for it. Now he needs a jab from Gogokia.
So Cruz preoccupied with the left hand, looking with that right.
Final 10 seconds of the fight. Gogokia looking to press the action. Going on Cruz with the double jab. Dancing in front of Gogokia, and that is the end of our fight. We are going to the judges' scorecards.
Impressive fight here, at least from Gogokia. Cruz had his moments, but in the long run, I think Gogokia took it. Of course, we're going to see what the judges think about it. If Cruz does lose, it'll be his first loss of his career.
Take a look at some of the highlights, Felix. There you see that right hook as
that right hook will come in, yeah, and then again, he wasn't expecting it. Just like comes out of nowhere.
It really does, and we thought Cruz had that right hook figured out at the middle portion of this fight, but then it exploded out of nowhere again, knocking Cruz down twice. So it'll be interesting to see what the judges see and how they score this one. Felix, what were your thoughts on this fight?
No, definitely. First 2 rounds, a lot of movement. He was getting punches in and flurries was Gogokia, but you thought, well, maybe he's not hurting Cruz and Cruz will figure him out. He did for a little while, maybe the 3rd and 4th round went Cruz's way. But then the middle rounds, Gogokia started attacking. He came with that sneaky right, knocked Cruz down twice, and he really looked in control the last round. So it looks like Gogokia will move on and be 14-0. Of course, the judges will have their last decision here on this fight, but Gogokia with a great showing. Cruz has to go back to the drawing board with Shields and take those rounds to see what worked and what didn't work. I can tell you right now, what didn't work was that left hand. He needed to keep it up, and he did not in Cruz's corner there. Shields made note of it. So a great fight. Both hug there. Good professionals. Remember, Thurman and Barrios coming up. First Fox. You're going to see 2 fights there. Then you'll see our pay-per-view. And there's still time to order the pay-per-view. So make sure you order it. Be it on your iPhone, TV. You can scan it now to buy the pay-per-view. Beyond on Fox. On free TV, and then you scan, and then you can get the pay-per-view. So Enrico Gogokia, a nice showing here against Cruz. Cruz still has the chance to win it, but let's see. I don't think so with that round that went 10-7 in favor. Here for the decision is Miguel Flores. a draw. All right, interesting. I guess Cruz showed enough, besides the knockdowns by Gogokia, to get a tie in this fight. Love to see a rematch here. Let's not take anything away from Gogokia. Great fight. And also Cruz. There's more here on your PBC prelims. Let's go to the special feature right now.
That all of us are born unique, but most of us die copies. You gotta find out, what is it that turns you on? What resonates with you?
Fight tomorrow is one today.
Don't stop, Mario. Good work.
The secret of the age is that you have the power to do more than you can ever begin to imagine. Don't underestimate yourself.
Want to be a champion, you got to make sacrifices. Because without the hard work, without the drive, without the sacrifice, there is no true reward.
You don't know enough about yourself to become a cynic. And so you've got to challenge yourself to access that power that you have within you.
I know this isn't an easy fight, but that's exactly why I took it, because I want to know the fights that are dangerous.
You're more than a conqueror.
This is my life. This is where I put my blood, my sweat, my tears. Woo.
Someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality.
I never take into consideration what other people are saying.
Let the people say what the people are going to say. And let me do what I was born to do.
Find a way to win in spite of the setbacks.
Barrios gets up again.
In spite of the disappointments. In spite of your failures.
We overemphasize the power of a loss. Everybody takes a loss.
You will fill your way to success. I have a saying, is life knocks you down, try and land on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up.
And there you have it, Keith Thurman, Mario Barrios, pay-per-view card live on Fox later tonight. If you haven't ordered it, please do so, as it is going to be an action-packed night from the Mandalay Bay. Keith Thurman making his long-awaited return against Mario Barrios, who is debuting his first fight in the welterweight division. We also got the 4-division world champion Leo Santa Cruz taking on Keenan Carbajal. The rising super welterweight undefeated star Jesús Ramos taking on Vladimir Hernandez. And then the former WBC super bantamweight world champion Luis Pantera Nerdy taking on the undefeated Carlos Castro. So excellent night of action, an excellent night of boxing coming your way, Felix. But now we are now set for our next bout in our prelims. Jesús Sylveyra taking on Keith Hunter. What do you like about this fight, Felix?
Well, let's see what Jesús has to offer. His record is not that great, 10-6 with 2 ties. He does have 4 KOs. Hunter, 13-1 with 8 KOs. So let's see what the bounty, that's his nickname, Keith Hunter could do against Bam Bam Silveyra. That nickname tells me he's going to bang tonight. He's trained by Roberto Santa Cruz, brother of Leo Santa Cruz, and of course we know the quickness of Santa Cruz and how many punches he can throw. Let's see if we can get that from Silveyra. We're ready for this fight. We go to the announcer, Miguel Flores. Okay, so we're ready to start this last fight of the prelims. Of course, 2 fights in Fox. And then we have the pay-per-view, Thurman against Barrios. We got Santa Cruz against Carvajal. Ramos against Hernandez. And Luis Neri kicks it off against Carlos Castro. These 2 fighters are almost set to go. And of course, Hunter has a very nice record. He's from Vegas. And Silveyra from Gomez Palacio, Durango, Mexico. He's looked much better now that he's trained by Roberto Santa Cruz.
8 rounds of action coming your way here. Bam Bam, a very aggressive fighter, always loves to come forward, an action fighter. So this is one of those fights that Keith Hunter is going to have to be prepared for and prepare to handle.
And he does have some power. We'll see what he does against Hunter. Hunter, the much taller fighter, 6 feet. Beta is 5'7". Bigger reach also for Hunter, 73.5. 68 for Silveyra.
You see Bam Bam throwing wildly, and that's one of the things, the staple of Silveyra is he will throw from anywhere.
So Hunter has to be careful early here. He doesn't get landed flush with something from Silveyra. Like you said, he's a dangerous fighter, although he's 10-6.
And that's what happens. I mean, when you have the type of style from Silveyra, you're going to leave yourself open to get caught. As I mean, you see it right there. He is leaving himself open. He throws wildly, but he can connect. And now Keith Hunter, you're seeing, he is having a tough time kind of dealing with this style, and it can take a couple of rounds to get used to.
Guard is low by Hunter, something that Silveyra can take advantage of. Very dangerous fight, although he's cut already. This Silveyra, left eye, they're going to have it checked.
I got you all. I hear you. Punch.
They said it was a punch. Punch. Well, Silveyra's left eye, opened that up. This, of course, is not going to help Silveyra's chances.
Blood is really pouring out. I'm trying to see where that cut exactly is. Is it under the eyelid?
Sometimes it hits like a smaller vein and that pops, and then look at Hunter. He's ready to explode here. He's in the corner waiting to see what the ref says. Are they going to let him fight? Oh no, that eye is bad.
Wow.
Yeah,
that is really, really tough. They may have to stop it, unfortunately.
Yeah. He says it was a punch. That's it.
And this fight is all over. Very unfortunate.
Tough loss here for Silveyra. He came to fight. That right hand must have connected flush on the eye, and he can't continue.
Very tough and unfortunate circumstances for Silveyra. I thought this was going to be I really felt this was going to be a very entertaining fight, because
I think it would have been.
Silveyra is never in a boring fight.
No, it would have been. He just could not continue with that left eye. It's right on top of the eye. Left eye, it's wide open. You know, he's gushing out. There we see Santa Cruz brother telling him basically, you know, cut's not that bad, but it is pretty bad. Alrighty. Referee did the right thing, going over to the corner, making sure the doctor would check him. Because of the stoppage, there is a victory, and he's explaining it there to in the corner of Hunter why he stopped the fight. And it was simply that punch opened that gash, and Silveyra could not continue. We're awaiting Thurman versus Barrios, and that's going to be at 9 p.m. Eastern. Scan to buy pay-per-view. You can also get the traditional pay-per-view on TV. A lot of people using iPhones today, tablets, you can get it just the same for tonight's pay-per-view here in Vegas. Okay, we're awaiting here the official decision. Hunter's going to get the victory. Hunter will move to 14-1 with 8 KOs. Now let's go for the decision. with our announcer, Miguel Flores. So Hunter with the victory there. Had 4 exciting fights. This one was stopped early between Hunter and Silveyra. Hunter gets the victory. But the first 3 fights, of course, Fernando Vargas Jr. with Kody Koboski. Nice victory by Vargas Jr. So, keep an eye on this guy, Vargas Jr. He looked good. Gogokia and Cruz, that was a tie. There was 2 knockdowns by Enrico Gogokia in that fight. And then in our first fight, Rincon outclassed Ramon Marquez to take the victory in a welterweight 4-round match. This one, a victory for Hunter. And now we start the real fights. Not the real fights, you know, the pay-per-view fights that are really exciting, and also the fights that we will have on Fox. So it was great being here with you guys today and enjoying these 4 fights. Let's see what Miguel has to say here to end this prelim fights.
Well, it was an entertaining way to start the night, Felix. I mean, we saw a lot of entertaining bouts. I mean, John Rincon put on a boxing clinic against Marquez. Fernando Vargas Jr., the hype, I mean, we saw that he's got the natural skills, and I'm looking forward to seeing him develop over the course of the next couple of years in his career with his father, Fernando Vargas, in his corner. And then we saw a back-and-forth battle between Gogokia and Cruz, and it turned out to be a split draw, and I definitely a result. I know judges get criticized a lot in boxing, but that was one I didn't have any argument towards. And then the final one, it was unfortunate circumstances. I really felt that was going to be an entertaining fight with Jesús Silveyra suffering a cut from a punch by Keith Hunter. But hey, this is the sport of boxing, and credit to Hunter. He landed the punch that caused that cut, and sometimes it just doesn't go your way, and he's able to come out victorious. But later on tonight, Felix, we're live on Fox. Ryan Cowboy Carl taking on Omar Juarez, an action-packed fight. You don't want to miss that one. That's going to be entertaining from the bell, round number 1 on. And then we got Abel Ramos taking on Luke Santamaria. And then moving into our pay-per-view card with the return to Keith Thurman.
And just to make a clarification, the pay-per-view you need to buy from foxsports.com.
Foxsports.com,
yeah,
pay-per-view.
No traditional TV. Foxsports.com is the way to go.
Foxsports.com. In order to buy tonight's pay-per-view that features the return of former world champion Keith Thurman as he takes on Mario Barrios, welcoming him into the welterweight division. So once again, we want to thank our entire crew here, getting you set for our prelims. I am Miguel Flores, he's Felix de Jesus. We still got a very entertaining night of fights coming your way. Be sure to tune in at 7 o'clock Eastern time on Fox for our free portion of the prelim card, and then our pay-per-view card later tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Order on Fox.